The month of February is already here in 2026. Man, that's something to think about. It's amazing how quickly this year has already gone by. I'm still iced in here in Oklahoma, but I think we're going to get out a little ways. Signing day is coming up this week. We have that to talk about and a whole lot more. And you know what? I'm going to pull the soapbox out tonight in just a little while, and it has absolutely nothing to do with either ratings or rankings or what exactly makes up week 0. We have all that and a whole lot more coming up on college football this week. Thank you for joining us tonight. Already folks in the chat, and if you have not joined our community, then go ahead and let us know from where you're watching tonight who your favorite NAIA team is. It may just be the Dordt Defenders. We'll find out about that. Doug Gann, Joey McWilliams, along with Coach Joel Penner, who is the head football coach for the Dordt Defenders. Coach, thank you so much for taking time with us tonight. It's a privilege to get to visit with you and have you on the show, especially on a live broadcast tonight. I just would start off with this. Let's look at 2025 really quickly. 9 straight wins to open the season. It was a fantastic year. You have even the regular season went a little bit longer because you went into overtime there against Morningside, came up just a little bit short. You make it into the playoffs, second time in 3 years. Just an overview on the season, Coach.
Yeah, it was a really fun season. First off, guys, thanks for having me on. I always love talking to you guys and love talking about this football team as well. But, yeah, it was a really fun season. I think when we talked in June, it was, we're graduating 38 guys, 10 out of 11 starters on defense are graduating. I think a lot of folks thought we would have a rebuilding year. I thought otherwise, but if I'm being honest, I didn't totally know, how the year would go. And turns out being the best year we've ever had in school history. And, 9-0 through the regular season, conference championship game against Morningside, and it went into overtime, and it was just a terrific game. They made one more play than we did, and really special year. And then we got the first round bye in the NAIA playoffs, and ended up in Indiana for a road playoff game the week after Thanksgiving, and came up one score short in a fourth quarter comeback that we had made, but it was a really special year. I don't know that I'm even done totally, decompressing the season, but I think there's just so many different things that happened that I'll remember for a long time.
Oh, Coach, I've mentioned it a number of times here on this channel, talking about, I guess it's kind of a linear progression since Dordt started the program, and it's just been, it's just shy of 2 decades now. So it's a relatively young program, football-wise, and, made its way up, 1 win here, 2 wins, and so on and so forth. Then you get there, and you get to a couple of 5-win seasons, then a 7-win season, and it just has progressively gone up from there. Like the little guy on the mountainside, and The Price is Right. I don't know if you saw that when you were a kid like I did. And he just, make his way up that mountainside. Well, you guys have 10 wins. Realistically, there's only so far you can go. 14, 15 wins in a season. I know Grandview had 14 this year. But the progress has been so steady, and you make it to the playoffs again. Talk about the process there and just, how you've just continued to build and build and build like you have.
I thought when I got into this role as my first head coaching role, I feel like most of my I would just say experiences in coaching and most of my mentorship has been in taking over struggling programs and becoming not struggling anymore, not being a losing program. We had a plateau of 7 or 8 wins for, 3 or 4 years. And I remember thinking, I'm not sure that I have really put myself around leaders who have broken through this, good to great kind of a stage of program development. So anyway, I was blessed to just surround myself with some people and develop some relationships with coaches who had been kind of where I was. And I studied a lot about, how do you go from being a pretty good program to how do you keep taking the next step? So I learned a lot. I think at the end of the day, too, having a staff that stuck around. I've just had to replace so few of my coaches in my 10 years. I think we've developed a lot of trust and synergy as a staff. I work at an institution that's also growing. It's not just our football program, but Our athletic department won the All Sports Trophy 2 out of the last 3 years in our conference. We're having record enrollment each year here at Dordt University. So there's certainly a wave of momentum that I'm benefiting from and hopefully helping contribute to as well. But I really think that the biggest thing is you just have to look wherever you're at. You cannot ever stop being the hunter. There's the hunted and the hunter. And the minute you start living into the identity of being the hunted is the day that you stop making progress. And I think we've just kept a really humble, stick with it kind of an attitude, and that saw us through some of our peaks and valleys.
Doug, go ahead. And Tool Envy already likes your hat too, by the way.
Look, Tool Envy, shoot me your address and I'll get you one of them out in the mail, buddy. Coach, certainly delighted to have you here too. And there's 2 or 3 things that I want to just unpack. And one, we'll go back to the season before I get away with that. How special was that Northwestern game? The way that it was won, what it did, and just take me through that one.
Yeah, I mean, folks that don't understand that rivalry, it's pretty awesome. I mean, other than the fact that we were 0-18, that's not awesome at all. But
right.
We're 10 miles apart. Like-minded schools in a conservative community share a lot of the same relationships at Walmart and at church and at stoplights, and you can imagine. And so, plus I used to coach there, so that always makes it fun. But I think in sports you see this a lot, but there's just these mental barriers that exist in sports about how this team is going to do against this team. And we're fighting the history, we're fighting the past, we're fighting almost 2 decades of that game going a certain way. And I think as our program got better, it was going to eventually it was inevitably going to happen. But I think the question is how was it going to happen and when was it going to happen? And, the last 2 games before, it was a 3-0, 6-0 finish. We were on the 6-inch line with no points. We were on the 2-yard line with no points in those 2 games. And so it just felt like, is this ever, like, what is going on? I mean, we're ready for this moment. We found ourselves down 17, and it felt like history was repeating itself, and uncharacteristically poor mistakes that we were making as a team, which we'd worked so hard to get ourselves past that. But then it was like in the second half, something just clicked, and I give it a lot of credit to our quarterback. Noah Strickfadden came in, and it's like he just decided, all right, enough is enough. He had thrown 3 picks, uncharacteristically, and then our guys just started making plays, and it came down to a 84-yard drive, 94-yard drive with 3 minutes to go to win the game by 1 point. And it was special. I mean, our 2 schools have tremendous fan support, and there was just no seats, and it was just a night game. It was a really special night. And I think what I remember the most about that night is just seeing the joy of our fan base and our alumni, all the guys that had played in that game before and not had that success, and just the chance to get the win and celebrate together was pretty special.
Yeah.
You could tell that in all of the stuff that I've seen in it. How important is it? You talked about your staff as well. Having somebody beside you like Coach McCormick has been through the years, that's got to give you a lot of confidence as well.
Coach McCormick graduated from college on a Friday up in Minnesota, and he was here for work on Saturday, and that was 10 years ago. And now he's my assistant head coach and defensive coordinator, and he's been incredible. There's no question about it. Every coach right now in our program has been with us for 4 or more years as a player or a coach. And so it certainly takes a village. I'm the one that gets to stand up a lot and talk about it and receive the credit. But I think we all know, anyone that knows how college football works knows that it's a team effort for sure. And you've got to have a great staff, which I do.
Last question that I'll throw out to you, Coach, and this is kind of a quirky one. Do you really not let the young men wear headsets around campus?
I don't know where you pick this stuff up. I wouldn't call it a rule. I'd call it a strong suggestion. We want to encourage our guys to be engaged with the student body, and so it's not the kind of thing where if you're caught with headphones, you're going to run. But it's more like, hey, this is the spirit of what we're trying to do. And so, yeah, we every year in training camp we kind of set that as a standard, and I don't think it's perfectly adhered to, but I think it is mostly.
But I just love the fact of the reasoning behind it is so that they can acknowledge the other students on campus, because so many times you just see that it's tunnel vision.
Right. Well, one of our 4 program pillars is what we call Kingdom Impact, and basically at the end of the day, it's we want to be a group of men that make lives better for other people. I mean, football should make people's lives better, and I think one of the ways we want to demonstrate that is to smile at somebody, say hello on the sidewalk, just show that you're interested in something other than just yourself. And I think that's, for us at least, that's been a standard that we've tried to have here for the last 10 years.
I love it.
Coach, you never know what Doug's going to find. I mean, he's going to
that's
going to dig deep. He wants to know what makes you tick.
Well, he either knows someone on the inside, or there's just some really good use of AI there.
Well, I appreciate the questions he has. I had a couple more for you really quickly, but I was going to ask this, by the way, since we do. And shout out to Justin. Thank you for watching tonight, Justin. We'll give you for real more of an official shout out here in a moment. Of course, Robert's watching tonight. Tool Envy tonight. And Tool Envy was wanting to know, do you have to work hard? Do you have to work that much harder to recruit to a perceived somewhat remote area? So I hope I'm reading that question right. Signing day is coming up on Wednesday, Coach.
Yeah.
You want to address that, or is that a good question?
No, that's great. I mean, here's the deal. There are always going to be a list of reasons why a recruit would love your school and why he would not love your school. We just want to cut right to the point of it. When we talk to a recruit, we're going to come very boldly right at the beginning. And I'm probably the worst recruiter on the planet to say this, but I say, hey, I just want to begin by saying we're not for everybody. Okay. And I think that shocks them a little bit because they're used to trying to be sold on something. But, we're in small town, Northwest Iowa. It's absolutely an incredible place that once you're here, you'll understand what I'm talking about. If you never visit, then your perceptions are just going to probably hold you back. But there are people who are looking for exactly the type of school that we have in the exact location that we have. And so we want to try to get as good as we can at finding those young men, that are going to want to be at a faith-based school, very intentional about developing in your faith, high academic school, and then a school where if a coach says don't wear your earphones, you're going to understand why. That's a big deal that you'd be able to buy in. And so I'll just give you one example. Dorr has chapel once a week, and at our university, you don't have to go to chapel. It's not required, but it is packed. It is absolutely packed. And I think that speaks to exactly the topic here is students are here for the reasons of exactly who we are. And I think our school's done a really good job of just saying who we are and who we're not. Absolutely.
That's fantastic, Coach. Well, I just had a couple more things really quickly. One thing going back to last year, and this is midway through the season. So you open the year 9 consecutive wins, and in 2024, Colton Cruz was a starter, and so he's a senior coming into 25. Then you start the year with a freshman in Noah Strickfaden, and you talked about him coming in. He plays. Cruz comes back in midway through the season. You all didn't look like you skipped a beat. You just kept winning, and What happened midway through injury? How does one play into the other? And talk about how, at least from an outsider's perspective, how smooth that transition was.
So this story goes back even about this time last year. Noah's a redshirt freshman, and I thought really emerging on our depth chart. We actually decided to take, put a quarterback battle out there, and we said, starting in January of 25, Dort does not have a starting quarterback right now. It's going to be one of you two, and you've got months to go earn that. And so that battle went all the way till August, till our training camp, till we had a scrimmage in training camp. And eventually we gave the nod to Noah, which if you think about it from my perspective, Colson's Dort's all-time winningest quarterback, most wins of any starting quarterback we've ever had. He was a captain. He's going into his senior year. It's not every day that you hear about that type of player being in a quarterback battle with a redshirt freshman. But these two guys sharpened each other. I mean, it's just the most awesome thing to watch how their competition with each other elevated our entire program. But then as the season went on, Colson was just the most engaged. I mean, you have to understand this guy is the 2A state player of the year in Iowa. He won a state championship at a small high school. He's never not been the best athlete at his school, and now in his senior year to have a backup role, you could only imagine what that would do. But Colson was always ready. And then when Noah went down with an injury, it was a seamless move to have Colson jump back in. And he kept the win streak going for us until Noah was healthy again. So it's a cool story to tell. And I like to highlight just the brotherhood that we have in our program. I think it speaks to just a deeper purpose for why our guys play. But to be in that spot, Colson actually said at the end of the year, this was his favorite year of his entire college football career, which is hard to fathom somebody saying that. But, it was his favorite because of just all the learning and growth that took place. So it's a special deal. I'm glad you asked about that.
Well, that's fantastic. And again, outsider's perspective, it looked like there was not a beat skipped, and it sounds that way as well from what you're sharing. Last thing, Coach, just to read from, one of the releases on your page, a quote from you is this: you were the Frosty Westering FCA Coach of the Year. I know I brought that up in the preview last summer, which is the FCA Coach of the Year nationwide 2025. That was announced last January. And your quote after that: I love being involved in this game, and the opportunity to share my passions with our players is a gift. My mission is to honor God in the way I steward the program, to build men, and to lead our players in a fight to compete fiercely out of a secure identity in Christ. Coach, I think that's an incredible statement. And as we wrap up our time with you, unless Doug has anything to add to that at the end, talk about that statement. And you've already shared a lot about what the program and what the university means, but just build on that.
Yeah, boy, you're giving me a green light to go off there. I'm going to try to summarize this down for you.
You have the green light, Coach, I promise.
Sure. I've been doing college football now as a coach for 25 years, and I began my coaching career for Frosty Westering at Pacific Lutheran University. And I always thought, this is a guy who could have made a lot more money. This is a guy who could have coached at a higher level. Here he is sticking it out at this small school. And yeah, he's winning a lot of national titles. He's the 9th winningest coach in college football history. But his phrase was, you make the big time where you're at. The big time is not a place, it's a state of your heart. And the idea that maybe I could help young men capture that idea, because I know what that's going to do for them in their lives, like to live a life that's intentional and purposeful, rooted in faith, not chasing after something that's going to burn up and be over, when life ends, life here on earth. If I could be involved in a work like what Frosty did, then I kind of had my marching orders when I was 22. That I don't know that I was going to be the guy who's going to be chasing the promotion, but to stick it out with a group of people that I could exemplify these principles, I think was what was always attractive to me. So to win an award all these years later with his name on it was a national championship in my books, and something that I will never forget.
Absolutely, Coach. Well, Doug, and by the way, shout out from the community too. Tool Envy's saying that you all handled the Marion situation with class and dignity, and he just wanted to put that out there as well. I think that too. Doug, any final words for Coach?
No, just in defense of my coach, I appreciate and admire the work that you've done and the way you've built it the right way. And just in defense of my research, in that same Frosty Westring FCA article, you did mention the guys not having to wear the headphones. So it's just a little bit of research and study in the craft.
There you go. Well done.
All right, Coach Joel Pinner, the Dordt Defenders, everyone in the College Football This Week community loves you, and they're appreciative for you being here tonight. I am as well, Doug as well. Thank you so much for taking time with us on a Sunday night. Really quickly, is it cold where you are?
I'm tired of talking about the weather. It's depressing.
Okay, sorry.
It's depressing. Actually, today was up in the mid-20s, and we all felt like it was summer out here. So
okay, I understand. I understand. I've been able to make it from the carport out to the road that goes in front of our house the last couple of days. So we actually have to go back to school tomorrow here. That's where we are at. It still, though, hasn't gotten above freezing today, if that means anything.
Oh, wow.
Well, I send my condolences for your 4 or 5 days of cold weather that you're going to get.
All right, Joel Pinner, the head coach for the Dordt Defenders. Sir, it is a privilege as always to have you on the program. I look forward to visiting with you again this summer, and we'll talk about the 2026 version of the Defenders. Thanks again for being with us tonight.
Happy to talk with you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, we're going to let him go, and maybe one question too many, Doug. I shouldn't have asked about the weather.
Look, and when you're asking somebody in Iowa, that's tough. I will say it is supposed to be 70 and 75 next weekend here. So,
wow. Okay. Yes, and Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet has said similar things here. So she likes the cold, but I don't think she enjoys as much having to be inside as much as we have, but that's kind of where we are. So, all right.
It cost us a trip we were going to Georgia this weekend to Savannah, and it cost us a trip there. So,
yeah, I thought I was going to be flying solo tonight. But anyway, I'm really glad that you're here. I appreciate that. All right. Okay. I wanted to honor Coach Pinner with the gold or yellow lights behind me, but now that we're moving on to a different segment, I'm gonna honor my Seahawks with the lighting behind me right now. So shout out to Seattle going on into the Super Bowl. Hey, listen, we got to give a shout out to everybody in the community now. So we wanted to honor Coach Pinner in his time, but let's go here first. Justin, who has let's see here, been watching for the last year. Loved the show. I'm from Adair in Northeast Oklahoma. Listen, that is one fantastic school for basketball for sure. They've had some good girls basketball programs in recent years. My son is wrapping up his freshman year at Baker. He's a defensive tackle, redshirted this last season. Well, we look forward to getting to see him then play. And I have to tell you, Justin, if you're still watching, first off, thanks for watching. Thanks for being in the community tonight. Make yourself at home. Enjoy it. Be a part of the show. Doug, I have had a chance to visit with Coach Miguel Regulato a couple of times on, just the channel, do the previews 2 or 3 times.
Right.
But coming back from Mid-America Nazarene this past August, did a show up there, drove back through, stopped by, and had a chance to visit with him in person. Fantastic gentleman. And I mean, gentleman in every sense of the word. He was fantastic. I love visiting with him and talking football, but he's just a great guy all the way around. So shout out to you, Justin. I think that, your son's in the right place, and he's going to be led by a great leader there.
Well, nothing like live TV, is there?
Oh, no. Hey, listen, that's all right.
They
Animals
got
get
wound
in.
up.
That's all right. That is all right. So, okay, so we have Justin on tonight. Thank you for watching. Tool Envy was giving a shout out to the hat, too. Robert, let's see here. Robert, yeah, I like that. That's a great hat. Robert had to give a shout out to Concordia while he's there, since we were interviewing a GPAC coach along the way. I get that. Dort the last few years has been very impressive. We saw that, so I'm trying to get all these in here. Oh, yeah, Matt's in tonight. Remote. Mayville. Now, that's remote. How big is Mayville? I think I may have to get on the Mayville train this year. We'll see. I always enjoy talking with the Mayville staff, too. I just want to let you know. Really like Coach Larson. Fantastic. Fantastic guy. Okay. The Bahamas were amazing this past week. Doug, you didn't get to go to Savannah, but Robert got to go to the Bahamas.
Look, and it was a difficult trip for him, from what I understand, to get down there. But I'll ask him. I bet they didn't have chicken cracklings down there.
No, I would imagine. I don't know. I would imagine that is probably the case. Welcome to Justin there, by the way. And let's see, do we have anyone? Yeah, Justin's still here. Oh, good. You love Coach Ray. He is fantastic. I really, really, really appreciate him. And I'm hoping, maybe Midwest Sports Saturday can make a trip to Baldwin City, too. Got to go down and see the football field there. And the coach of the former Dallas Cowboys coach statue out there in front as well. Where is he now? Somebody. Cowboys coach is somewhere else. Anyway, I'm right now. Seahawks in the Super Bowl. That's what I'm following. So all right. Robert said, "Hey Dave, I pushed one button and got another one and got Dave up here. Just got home from the Morningside Football Awards banquet." Well, Dave, you have to share that as we go through the rest of the evening, too. I was trying to put this one up here. They didn't have cracklins. Robert says they didn't have cracklins, but that's all right. Baker has a really cool old stadium. You're exactly right, too. I loved the way it looked. It had a feel. Doug, I don't know if you ever had any of the old WPA stadiums there in Louisiana, some of the high school stadiums, some of these, that were built in the 30s and 40s. We're talking about Depression era stadiums, and some of them in high school, the high school stadiums in Oklahoma, especially in the Southeast, they're out there, and they are some really cool stadiums. So, do you have those?
We don't. We've got old, but ours are just old. They're not historic old.
Okay.
There's one down Memorial Stadium that's been around for a long time. Catholic High of Baton Rouge Jackson plays their games there, and it looks like you're doing a game from a prison, if you will, because you go up and it's all concrete that's in there, and it's cold, and it just you really look like it, but it's got a lot of character, except for everything that's went to the new style of it. So there are a few in here, but Memorial Stadium in Baton Rouge jumps out at you.
Okay, yeah. There are some of those like that. They're built with a rock. And
Yes.
this that Baker Stadium kind of had that feel. There are, again, some down here. And, there's something to be said for some of these new stadiums, especially as close as, I'm a little closer to Texas than you are, Doug, but I know that you've seen those Texas high school stadiums.
I'm right beside it.
They're incredible. Well, I know, but you're a little farther into Louisiana than I am into Oklahoma. So.
The one thing that I've seen the most out of these is that the colleges are playing at these ISDs for the high schools, and that shows you what a difference it is.
Absolutely. You are absolutely right. Well, Tool Envy's taking it to the next level. It's a Shawshank feel.
He's right.
He loved it. Anyway, it's a great feel. So I'm hoping maybe we can do a show, a Midwest Sports Saturday show up there in Baldwin City one of these times, and get a chance to see all of the Wildcats at play there. All right, Doug, we're at the 30-minute mark right now. Shout out to everyone watching tonight, and thanks for everybody being in the community. Make yourself at home there in the community here on Midwest Sports Net and on 446 Sports, too, as you're watching us We're simulcasting on 2 different channels tonight. Doug, let's go through a couple things news-wise. I know that you know what I had sent your way to say, hey, listen, we need to give a shout-out to these things. First shout-out to Eastern Oregon coach. I mentioned last Sunday, Solo Taylor, the new head coach at Eastern Oregon. From what I can see, he bleeds Mountaineer blue and gold. Absolutely been a part of the program, not only as a player, was there for a long time. 2016 graduate from Rigby, Idaho, and star there in high school, gets to play at Boise State for a little while, or part of the program there at Boise State, then comes over, spends a while at Eastern Oregon, a rock star at Eastern Oregon as well, and then not only there to get the bachelor's, the master's, as soon as he's done. I had the idea, by the way, this crossed my mind when Coach Penner said this. Solo Taylor must have done the same thing at Eastern Oregon. As soon as he graduated, he's on the staff.
Yeah.
So he was there.
And you could tell that it made an instant impact, too, because as we are getting so much closer to signing day, then you started seeing after that was in there, you start seeing commit after commit after commit that are going to Eastern Oregon. And these young men really believe in coaches that are going back and coaching at home.
And it's nice that he's there and they're able to just keep the momentum. Coach Camp had been there for nearly 2 decades himself, and so it's I think that hopefully that's a good transition for Eastern Oregon there, the Mountaineers. We were looking at also, and I wanted to bring this up, we talked just briefly about the Frontier Conference schedule. So Doug, I'm going to try to pull up a couple of images here. Last week we talked about this. Here's the Frontier Conference East, and this is the first part of the season. Now, if you'll notice, there is a week 0 here. We've already talked about what week 0 is and what it isn't. By the way, not the soapbox tonight, guys. So that's another one. But we talked about what it is isn't. Here are some non-divisional games right off the bat, and I think this is pretty cool. And look at Mayville State. Now, Matt, I have to tell you, I was thinking of you. Mayville State going to get Briar Cliff in there and travel to Goodwill, Oklahoma for Oklahoma Panhandle State. And I would love to say, Matt, that I'd like to be there on September 5th and do a Midwest Sports Saturday there. But I have to tell you, from where I am in the state of Oklahoma, it feels like it's as far a drive to Goodwill as it would be to actually go to Mayville, North Dakota. It is out there, Doug. I
can tell you how I got there. I fly into Amarillo and drive
up.
Yeah.
Yes.
And drove up in there, and it were a lot of the wind turbines, and that's about all that I saw.
And if you'd flown to Oklahoma City, you fly into Will Rogers, you're still having to drive for what seems like days up what they call the Northwest Passage. And it's like this one route that gets you from Oklahoma City up through like Woodward and some of those places. By the way, lots of good basketball and 8-man football in that area too. But anyway, yes, that would be really cool. Some of these games that are on there, you're getting Graceland in here. You also get Southwest Minnesota State. Valley City State's going to take on a D2 program up there in the upper right-hand corner. So, yeah. That is out there. And then let's see if I can pull this up here, Doug, as well. Let's try to get one more in here. How about the Frontier Conference West? Any of those stick out to you, or just
Well, and so ahead? The bad thing is I don't see your graphic up on the screen. I don't know if it's my setup. Let me see if I'm just not doing something correct. But I just see you and I again.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right.
Listen, I'll illustrate this for if you're not able to see that graphic. I hope everyone's able to see it. But in the West, all of these games are just crossover, except for one. Southern Oregon is taking on Western Oregon, a Division II program again. That's Saturday, September 5th. And last year, Southern Oregon was picked to do really well. And after that Western Oregon loss, and I think there were a couple of injuries in that game too, they didn't really ever recover from that. And it's a rivalry game, NAI and D2 there. Western Oregon was NAI at one point in time. But that was a tough loss. was a tough loss for Southern Oregon team there. So the Raiders struggled from that point on, and I don't think the season was ever quite the same for Coach Brown's team. But all of these games in the pre-divisional schedule, except for that Western Oregon game, they're all just divisional rivals, crossover rivals there. So we didn't look at this graphic last week, but yes, that August 27th, August 29th are true week 0 games, and then week 1, according to the NCAA Rule 17.11.4, week 1 starts on September 5th. So there we are. All right. And Doug, I'm sorry that you can't see that.
I don't know. Look, there's no telling what it is. Normally I do, but in defense of that too, is sometimes when the graphic comes out, it kicks me off. So, you know.
Well, we don't want that,
right?
I mean, we don't want that by any stretch of the imagination. Justin, you guys went a 6-hour drive one way from Adair to Goodwill. I believe that. Totally believe that. It's at least 6 hours from Durant. And I know kind of where you are in the state too, and I have to take an angle, and it is something else. But anyway, all right. Let's see here. Signing day, Doug. Signing day is coming up, and you know what? We had Coach for as long as we did. That was a backup question, and I want to get your take on this really quickly because I know that you're going to cover this as well. And maybe even some commentary from the community on this one. Signing day doesn't seem to be as big anymore as it was at one point in time because of the NCAA transfer portal. For the rest, for NAI, we talk about the transfer market out there as well. Doug, what's your take on signing day coming up? Is it still going to be a big deal to talk about?
All right, so let's pull that soapbox out that we so brilliantly tried to get away from getting onto, but I'm going to climb on it right here. I think that it is as big these days for a lot of the young men that have been pushed aside and pushed aside and pushed aside. Now, you see some of the schools, what was it, Friends, I think, that already had their class full when we talked to them, but these young men that are signing, they've been put off so much. And the problem that you're running into with this portal is that there may be an offer that's put out to you. Well, you want to go and search some other offers, which everybody wants to do. And you come back and say, Coach, I'm ready to commit. And the coach says, we don't have a spot for you anymore. And so I think the majesty of getting it done and finally getting that over is well worth it. Now, is it celebrated as much because of the big one that happens back earlier? I don't think so. But for these guys that are finally putting their name on something, man, it's been a stressful time. And it certainly is good to get some closure to all of this and get the name on the paper. But the biggest problem with it all is, man, they just got to get rid of the stinking portal. I'm sorry about that. Or revamp it.
Well, there have to be rules.
Yes.
It's I don't even remember.
It's the Wild West is what it is.
It is the Wild West. And I don't remember what the commercial is. Somebody may be able to tell me what the commercial is. I think maybe, I don't know, Subway sandwiches. I don't know. It's an ongoing joke in our house because in my house, not only me, Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet, and all the little Midwest Sportsnets and even the grandkids, but I mean, we talk in movie references and TV references and commercial references, and there's a commercial out there that, they say that they're not going to sell something in some way. There are no rules. And the guy's going to take his shirt off, and they say, please put your shirt back on. Okay, there's one rule. So that's the way I feel about this. There are no rules.
All right.
We can give all this money, and we can do this. How is this isn't the soapbox, by the way, guys. I'm saving this. But how is it a thing that Dabo Swinney is upset about tampering, which, by the way, I totally agree with him about being upset about this, if there are no rules about tampering? If there's nothing out there for this NIL and for these transfer portals, and you can change in here and here and here and here, you're not doing anybody any favors. I would think, Doug, also, here's one of those, you talked about this, kids burn bridges.
Oh, yeah, they do.
17 and 16 and 17 and 18-year-old young men, and in other sports, young women, don't have all the experience. And sometimes when the spotlight gets big and you think that you're here and then you don't want to be talking to someone that you see as here, whether or not they are, whether you see them as here, that's an easy bridge to burn. And then later on when you find out, oh, maybe I'm not here, I need to go back and talk to the person that I thought was here. Just like what you said, sometimes the spot's gone and sometimes you just burn that bridge.
Yeah, it absolutely. And it's a case of the rich getting richer because a great program is going to have a successful program on there. But I attribute this a lot to free agency in the NFL and those places in baseball, which I can't stand anymore, pro sports, because you can't root for a team anymore because half the time you don't know who's going to be on it. And the unfortunate thing is the people that are getting lost in this is, like the comments are saying, are these high school kids. They're getting lost in it because they say, hey, wait a minute. And before you know it, the train's left the station and you're sitting here on the first Thursday in February and you got nowhere to go. And that's tough.
And how big was it, by the way, in what Coach Penner said a while ago, that Colton Cruz didn't just jump out and say, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, I've started here for years, and you're sending in this freshman to come in and take my place. How cool a story was that, to talk about that and what he meant to the program. And he obviously it was a big deal because, you know, he came in and made a difference because he didn't just break and run.
Well, another story is one of your favorite players, Levi Torgerson, who says, you know what, I'm going to forego this to come back and play football one more.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed visiting with him too. He's going to be back, by the way. Sorry about that, Matt. I know that's not good that Torgerson's coming back for your part of the schedule there. But yeah. I never did. Hey, listen, Dave. I don't know if Dave's still there. Dave, love to hear how the football awards went. Let us know if there's any news that you can pass along there. Would love to hear that.
All that notwithstanding, come Wednesday, these young men are able to put their names on the dotted line and go out there. I encourage you just to embrace it. Don't take time off. Get out there and go to work. If somebody's going to find you, they're going to find you. But get out there and be where your feet are. That is what Coach Ben McLaughlin told us. Go there and make a difference where you're at. Get somewhere. And if you're that level and you think that you're settling, let me tell you, and this is something that I've learned, there's some pretty dadgum good football in the NAIA.
There absolutely is. Man, you're going to make it. You've just given me the segue, Doug. So here's the segue. I'm going to pull out. Here's the soapbox, and I'll climb up on that. I have short arms and short legs. Maybe
that's for you, Robert.
I don't know, but this one's for you. All right, I'm going to have to bring this image up, and if you all haven't seen this image, this was on what I still call Twitter. And it, got to find it here. Here we go. What I still call Twitter, X, whatever. Here we go. Doug, can you see that?
Nope, sure can't.
Okay, well, here we go. Let me read this to you. This was on Twitter, and it happened last Sunday. Now, by the way, this was after we went off the air. Okay? This was after we went off the air, and I found out because, believe it or not, was not watching the Seahawks. I was faithful to college football this week and all the folks in the community, and I just, I knew they won, but by the way, there's programming notes for next week. Just go ahead and get used to it because we're not going to go up against the Super Bowl. Doug and I, we'd love to think that we could do that, but we can't.
No.
So we're not doing that. But this was on Twitter. Shahan Jayaraja said this, was looking through the Patriots roster, and apparently they have a guy who played for quote-unquote Friends University. Just think about that for a moment, Doug. Just settle that in for a moment. Was looking through the Patriots roster, apparently they have a guy who played for the quote-unquote Friends University. Let's just stop there for a moment. I'm going to even just take this down. I can't look at it anymore. It drives me nuts just to even look at it. But if I can take it down, I'm not even sure I can take it down.
You have on my screen.
It drives me nuts to look at this. Absolutely. This is double dipping in your disparagement. And by the way, in this guy's bio, this gentleman on X This gentleman says he's a national sports writer, college football writer for CBS Sports, a national college football writer for CBS Sports. And you've double dipped in your disparagement.
Yeah.
He's a guy. He's not even a football player, Doug. He's not somebody who worked hard all of his life to play football through college and succeed in college and make it in through the UFL and then make it into the NFL and make it to be a part of a team to where he played for a little while. He's on the practice squad right now, but you know what? He's still on the roster of a team that's going to the Super Bowl, Doug, but he's just a guy.
That's right.
Hey, apparently there's a guy that's playing for the Patriots who, by the way, went to quote-unquote Friends University.
Like it's made up.
It's I can just see. I'm going to do this one time, okay? So there's going to be a record of this, Doug, and I will not do this again. I hate this. This drives me nuts because I think this is such a sign of arrogance and pomposity that it drives me nuts. But you could just see the air quotes.
Yeah.
Air quotes. What an arrogant sign. Air quotes for Friends University. Does it not exist? I thought you were a national college football writer and you didn't know about Friends University. Let me tell you about Friends University for just a moment there, Shahan. Friends University was the most prolific scoring team in all of college football this year. 54.2 points a game in college football, which Friends University plays and plays quite well. That's more than the second highest team, which is Ferris State University. Doug, did you know Ferris State University isn't a Division I program either? Ferris State University is a Division II program. And I would imagine, and I'm just guessing, although I'm not going to be so arrogant as to say I know exactly what Shahan is thinking, but I would imagine he probably only heard about Ferris State because of Trinidad Chambliss, who's been playing at Ole Miss. Not because Ferris State's won 4 national championships in the last 5 years, Shahan, but it's because they're a very good program, not just because of Trinidad Chambliss. Friends University. Did you know that Friends University racked up 5,979 rushing yards this season? That's a pretty good number, I would say.
Did you know there's a chance they go over 6,000 this next year?
That's exactly right. I mean, they had the rushing title last year and just obliterated that this year. And if they, Doug, they make it from that, in the last 8 seconds of that game, if they don't fumble the ball and they find a way to get past Benedictine, a very good Benedictine team, it's obliterating 6,000 yards, and it's in the records book this year. Gave up only 13.8 points a game, Doug. That's
do you mean Benedictine?
I am not going to do it again. I'm on record already. It's on video. I'm not going to let it happen again. But yes, Benedictine, one of more than one school in the United States that has that name. But
that's right.
13.8 defensive points a game. Wow. Third in the NAI in that category. Did you know that Friends University had 42 sacks this year to lead the NAI? And the reason I'm going to point that out is because Jeremiah Farms Jr. had 14 and a half sacks by himself his last year at Friends University, quote unquote Friends University, in 2019. I had to keep this in all weekend long. I take that back, Doug. Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet heard me yell about this more than one.
Right.
Absolutely drives me nuts to get on there with your in the bio national football writer for college. I don't even know what it says anymore. I'll have to look it up. National writer for college football for CBS Sports. Hey, look, if you don't know college football, don't say you're a national writer. Because there's more than one college football. Go ahead, Doug. I'm sorry. I have to breathe. I need to drink. Water. It's water.
Next thing you know, it's going to say agent in there too.
You're exactly right.
And he can do that. No, what had happened, and it brings up an interesting point that goes back, and I love Coach Petty. That was a tremendous article. But the thought that either somebody was on the inside or there was really good AI. No, we just research and do our jobs to prepare for it. And that's where the story was. That's where I found out about it.
You did your work. You did. Wait for it. Is the word up here? Here we go. You said it. Due diligence.
Yep.
You did your due diligence. Mm-hmm. And Doug, we're Apparently not national writers for college football, and that's fine. I don't mind that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But it was meant to be a disparaging remark, not only for the guy. Hey, there's this guy, but it was also meant to be a disparaging remark because there was oh, I don't even recall what the name of it was. I should know the name of that. But there was that team that it was a fake high school football team. Remember, they even made it on ESPN.
Yes, they got to play on ESPN, and they weren't. Yeah.
This is a statement to try to be disparaging to Friends University. I'm sorry, but I have friends at Friends University. It's a real place, real school, and you know what? They play real football, Shahan.
Look, I would believe that there's an opportunity. Yes, he is. I love the comments. I would believe there's an opportunity for him to suit up if he wants to try and stop that rushing attack of Friends.
Exactly.
They'll set it up.
Exactly. All right. Sorry, you're right. It happens every now and again. This is, if you're ever wondering what Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet has to deal with on the other 6 days of the week when I don't get to talk to you all, this is a good example. But
you may need to change the lights behind you to red.
I will say this. I will end with this. Thank you, Shahan Jayaraja, for being today's example of the Dunning-Kruger effect.
That's
I'll
correct.
let him look that up. All right, there we go. Let's see here. More stuff through the comments. It's, you know what? It is. It's easy to cover only D1.
Sure it is.
And Justin, by the way, thank you for watching. And if you've been watching for a while, it's one of those things. That's part of the reason that I believe, and Doug, I'm not going to speak for you, and I want to get to the community here in a second because Dave's on, but part of the reason that I do this, and I think God's given me this opportunity, is because small college sports has so many different stories to tell that aren't being told. I live in the state of Oklahoma, the great state of Oklahoma, the Sooner State, and proud to be here 50 years now in this state since we moved up from Texas. And you know what, Doug? I could cover OU and OSU.
Yeah.
But everybody covers OU and OSU. Let's talk about some of these other things that are going on, and I really do think that's why God's given us the opportunity to do that. But you're right, Justin. It's easy to do that. It is tough, and okay, I'll ask you this one, Doug. This is year 26 of broadcasting, not just small college, but high school too.
Yep.
You have to do work to find out stories about these things, and used to anymore nowadays you have a lot of stats on the internet. But man, to be able to prep for a high school football game or a small college football game, it was not easy. You had to bust your backside to get those stats. They weren't just handed to you.
Well, before you put the soapbox away, let me get back up on it too. And that's the problem with journalism and reporting, which I don't ever consider myself a journalist, and that's not a knock on it. I'm just somebody that gets to talk about sports, and man, do I love that. But the number one thing is you can Google any stat that you want to, and that's why I don't care about telling that story. But I guarantee you there's not anywhere else you're going to find out the stories that we have talked about just in the last, 10 weeks or 8 weeks or so since it was over with. And it brings a different level to it, and it gives some clarity, some things out there that folks just may not know otherwise. Because look, that's one thing that I'll tell you on our shows that we do. We're not going to talk about who has the most yards. We're not going to talk about a lot of these things. What we're going to talk about is, why is that a rule that they can't wear their headphones around? Well, it's a great rule. It's not a narcissistic rule. It's a great rule that says we want you to be aware, and that's one of our 4 pillars. And I love this 4-pillar generation. There are a lot of those around the country, and man, it's just that's the stories that need to be out there and need to be told, because it's kids just fighting to continue before they have to hang the cleats up.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. Doug, I do. Now, granted, I did go to school for it. When I went back, and the degree from OSU is a journalism broadcasting degree, and I do actually own. No, that's not a bad thing. It's not. I didn't take that as disparaging. I was going to say I do. If you don't, it's fine. But for the most part, now sometimes on here, we're having fun. But I own an online newspaper. When I'm around Bryan County and I'm doing some of the stories I do, I have to be unbiased if I'm going to be a good journalist.
Correct.
I need to be unbiased, and I do need to learn how to be an investigative journalist, which is what I do some around here. I don't like it that much, but I enjoy this a lot more. But I agree with you. There are a lot of folks out there that aren't, and just because you have a national forum, whether it be news, sports, or otherwise, doesn't make you a journalist. It
Correct.
makes you the media.
That's
because
right.
that's a totally different word, but it doesn't make you a journalist. And I'm going to, let's see here really quickly, before we get to Dave, still the best looking nugget on the internet, no matter the color. Thank you very much, Tool Envy. Appreciate that one. All right. Doug, if you're off the soapbox, I'm going to set it aside for just a moment. And
Look, I just think
I just had to say that. It drove me nuts for a week.
But if we can't have dialogue about things, and there's going to be things sometimes, Joey, that you and I don't agree with too, I've got to believe. But when we stop having dialogue about things, man, that's when there's chaos.
Anyway, yeah, I agree with you. The Dunning-Kruger effect. Thank you, Shahan, for being today's example of that. All right, Dave, bittersweet day. Man, let me see if I can read it on my big monitor. I don't have the readers with me right now.
It was a bittersweet day. We have made lifelong friendships with so many people over the last 4 years. It has been a joy to get to know as many great young men and so many great families.
Absolutely. And here's the follow-up, by the way. Glad to get to experience one more year. Man, I am so happy for you two. And I want to get to visit with Drew someday. Love to get to do that. Love to have him on the channel. So I hope that works out to get to visit with him sometime soon. So there we go. All right. Let's see here. Robert, I just put that up there. It's been fun. Need to get more soapboxes. Well, I have a few, Robert. I really do. I just try to rein it in because I do try to be that unbiased journalist there. Son wasn't going to go to college. Justin wasn't going to go to college to play football. When his senior year ended early in the playoffs, he decided he wasn't finished. The NAI allowed him to continue on at a higher level. Fantastic.
And get an education.
And by the way, Baker football program is nothing to sneeze at.
Okay.
In case some of you all did not know, and Justin, you probably do know this after having been a part of the program, Doug, Baker Wildcats, the winningest football program in NAI football. The winningest football program. They jumped ahead, or didn't jump ahead, but they pushed ahead of Missouri Valley a couple 3 years ago. I think they're about 10 games ahead right now because they've had a couple of good seasons. However, last year, wasn't the season I know they wanted, but yeah.
Well,
I figured you knew that.
But on the side of that, what's really cool is that shows the longevity of a Baker, team a school that's been around for years and years and years, because in this day and age, there are a lot of schools that aren't around anymore.
Man, that's the truth. Absolutely. That is the truth. All right. Shout out to my favorite quarterback in the state of Oklahoma on the college level. Colton, thanks for watching tonight. Good to get to see your name come up there in the chat as well. Doug, okay, there was the soapbox. I'm going to drop two more things on here really quickly as we wrap up because we're nearing that 1 hour mark, and then
beginning our final descent.
Yes, we're going to land the plane. This is college football adjacent, okay? Because North Carolina's football coach is Bill Belichick. This is D1. Belichick not in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. 333 wins, 6 Super Bowl wins. I think, Doug, there comes a point, again, these national media types who do the voting in this, it's just, look, I'm not a Belichick fan. I'm not a Patriots fan. I'm going to be actively rooting against the Patriots on Sunday night, without question, to make up for Super Bowl 49, but that can't happen. Anyway, the point is, I'm not a Belichick fan, but to say he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, seriously, are you? What do you have to prove in saying that's not the case?
As I looked across a couple of things, and I think both of the reasons that were given that he didn't get in are, gosh, they're no more than what the cat scratches over. But what happened was that they said, well, there's some other people that needed it and he'll get in next time, or we're still mad about this supposed deflate gate or whatever it is and these scandals. Look, as a voter, put your ego and your feelings aside
Mhm.
and do what's right about it, or give up your vote and let somebody else that respects the entirety of it step in and do it.
Yeah, that was. I agree, and some of the baseball Hall of Fame voters that you take someone like fill in the blank, Derek Jeter.
Right.
Well, he can't be unanimous. Who says he can't be unanimous?
Look,
I don't know.
it-
Anyway,
yeah,
there's that ego though. It's the ego that you were talking about
that's
there
correct.
too. Tool Envy Baker was better than their record. I think so too. That 0-3 start, I think, was reflective of or a reflection of a front-loaded schedule, and it was just a tough schedule for Baker. I think they came back, and by the way, they're one win away from getting into the playoffs. Well, if Benedictine goes ahead and beats Mid-American Nazarene, okay, they were close to one win away from getting into the playoffs, but that's neither here nor there now. It's a new year, so we'll do that. All right, Robert, question: how do people get a vote in these things? What's the requirement? An edit of your ex-girlfriend.
That's right,
You
Robert.
just put in there voter as opposed
Or
to
voter.
agent. Is
That's
that
right.
right?
That's right.
I don't know. I've been getting to. I'm working with someone now. I'll leave the name out right now, but I've been doing some broadcasting with someone who's a Heisman voter, and
Nice.
that was actually kind of cool too. And interestingly enough, when I talked to this person midway through the season, I actually said I think that kid from Indiana is having a pretty good year, especially after the touchdown that was thrown in the Penn State game when they came back and won it. That was just unreal. Now, I'm not saying I swayed anything by any stretch, guys. I'm just saying I did actually mention that. So there we go. I don't know. Should I change my profile on X, on Twitter, Doug, and just say voter? That's it.
Look,
Not
just
voter
start
of anything.
listing
Just voter.
soapbox climber, voter, agent, all of the above.
There we go. That'll be a lot of fun. Okay, Colton, Tool Envy, Doug, do you have anything else tonight besides shameless self-promotion to talk about what you're doing on 446 this week as we wrap up?
It is full speed ahead softball. We now that February is here, we've got, I told you, 70 games scheduled in 57 days, and
Oh,
then
my
we get
goodness.
to the playoffs. We're going to launch on February what is tomorrow's the 2nd, February the 9th. We're going to launch our softball show each week. We're going to preview and we're going to talk about games from past. So we'll go live at 10 a.m. on Tuesday and on Fridays talking about the season. That's the high school side of it. So it doesn't have anything to do here. But we also will put in a Red River Athletic Conference NAIA spin on it as well. So that's what we jump into. But if we're not having our Super Bowl show, are we getting our Bet the Barn pick tonight?
Oh, my goodness. I hadn't even thought about that.
God.
Well, Vegas has those. One of the reasons that we do that here, Doug, is because Vegas lets us down with the NAI. They don't have any of those numbers out there for the NAI. So I've always felt like it was my responsibility to put that out there. Let me say this. I'm going to take the Seahawks.
Okay.
We don't do teams, Doug. When it comes to
Yep, that's correct.
we only
That's
do
correct.
the totals and the prop
props.
bets and stuff like that. But I'm gonna go with the team that I'm representing with the green and blue behind me, and I'm gonna go ahead and take the Seahawks. And I think it's gonna be. I'm gonna make it. I'll say a 9-point game. Tool Envy says Seahawks in a tight one.
All right. I set all of that up because there's an opportunity for me to give my side of it. And look,
Please do.
I am such a believer in what the Seahawks have done all season long. Not a Seahawks fan because they played alongside the Saints, and there's been so many battles from that. But May and the Patriots, they're going to play lights out in this one on Sunday, and the Patriots hoist another trophy.
You had a prop ready for that one?
Absolutely, I do.
My goodness, that is all. Oh my
But
goodness.
I'm not ever going to climb up on a diving board in a Speedo and jump in the water. So
Please don't.
just so you know, we're safe on that.
That's you and me both, man. You and me both. I don't know, and I'm not going to make a guarantee that on one of our shows in the future that nobody takes their shirt off, but I'd say it's pretty close to a lock on that one.
You can bet the barn.
We can bet the barn on that one. Okay, we got some more in the community really quickly. Stephen, it's been a while. It's been a while since we had a chance to see you, Stephen, with the dad of one Dalton Dale, former Texas Wesleyan quarterback. Says that one of Dalton's teammates from high school is Lewis Moore or Louis. I'm guessing Lewis Moore. I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry, on the Indiana team. So shout out to him, and saying JSN, Dalton's teammate from Pee Wee football. How about that?
About that.
Wow, it really is a small world.
Yes.
That is incredibly cool. My goodness, okay, I got to see a little bit of that game before we went on the air. How in the world does he keep getting open? How does no one seem to know where number 11 is in a Seahawks jersey? He just keeps on getting open. That's something. I hope it happens again. Doug is not hoping that happens again. He's saying lights out. All right, Tool Envy Seahawks in a tight one. Robert says Pats by 3. Matt's going ex-Viking fan. All in for Sam. Ex-Viking fan? Okay, that's on. What did the Vikings do to you? I don't know. I don't think they've done anything to anybody in a while.
The one thing that I can already guarantee is that I love the new Clydesdale commercial that's been making its way around. That's a great one where the eagle comes up at the end, and yeah, I love that one.
Absolutely, I'm with you on that, Justin. Oh man, this is where I play my Texas card and say yes, I was born in the Lone Star State, but man. My kids, one of my children has seen a Dallas Cowboy Super Bowl. I think one of them. One of my oldest, by just a little bit. But none of the rest of my kids have ever seen the Cowboys win a playoff game. That's just
ain't life grand.
Sure, you like that. All right.
That's right.
Shout out to Justin. Man, thanks for being with us tonight, Justin, and just stay with us. Keep on being a part of the community. Steven, so good to see your name come up there. Matt, we'll see if I can read these off here as well. Robert, for being on tonight. Tool Envy, thank you for being on tonight as well. Colton, thanks for coming and being on board tonight. Dave, it sure is good to see your name come up there, and man, I'm glad to get to one more year, one more ride, and just praying for a healthy, strong season for Drew and that he does well. And did I get everybody? If I didn't get, I think I got just about everybody. I got Matt in there. Yeah, I think I got everybody tonight. So, and Coach Penner.
Yes.
Wow. Doug, great to get to visit with Coach Penner tonight.
Absolutely it was, and he is doing huge things there at Dort. The defenders are going to be on it again. I saw they released something not long ago, and they update all of their commitments on their website.
Yes,
and
they
launched one that had 38 kids coming in, and you look at some of the size on them, they're all short of a couple of slot guys. They're all 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". There's some big dudes coming into Dort.
They do. And two things about Dort before I let that segment go. First off, shout out to Mike Biker. SID does a fantastic job. He does great work, and they keep up with everything. And Dort's one of those Iowa schools, and I don't know if Tool Envy has anything to say about this too, but you can always tell the Iowa schools because, man, they have those Dutch and German names that are like either this long or you wonder how they can have that many vowels in there and it still be legal. I mean, there has to be another consonant somewhere in there. You can't string 4 A's together consecutively in a word and expect me to be able to pronounce it. I'm just throwing that out there. Anyway.
There you go.
All right. That was it. And we did so tonight without, I did mention rankings and ratings and did mention week 0, but that was just to say that was a misdirection.
And we did roll into hour number 2, which I don't know that we've done that prior.
No, we're only at the beginning of it, so maybe a little later on the season. I don't know. I think we're making up for next Sunday night. So no show next Sunday night. Everyone enjoy the Super Bowl. Enjoy time watching the Clydesdales. I love the Clydesdales as well. Thank you for bringing that up, Doug. Final words, Doug, before we wrap it up.
3 words: National Signing Day. Going to be a great one, and we'll go. I tell you what, I definitely will go on, and maybe we'll get together Wednesday night and do something.
Okay, I didn't tell you what Midwest Sportsnet has. We have a little bit of volleyball tomorrow. We have a volleyball coach tomorrow. There's going to be a few more volleyball as we're starting preview. next. I have a huge in May, huge arc showing up on Midwest Sports Net. It'll be starting in May. Keep that in mind. Just previewing that a little bit right now. And Wednesday, I do have a football interview, but it's a little bit different take than what we normally have on here. So that'll be online, and maybe that we can get together on Wednesday night. We'll see if that might work out, and maybe that'll take the place of our Sunday night show, Doug.
I'm sitting here, pins and needles now, ready to go, and eager with anticipation.
They're big arc coming up in May on Midwest Sports Net, so just go ahead and pencil that in. All right, for Doug Gann, I am Joey McWilliams. I think I have everything ready for the outro tonight. Doug, it's always a privilege. Thank you for being a part of college football this week. I'm enjoying the partnership, and it's just enjoying getting to visit with you every week. And to Coach Penner as well, thanks for him coming on the show.
Absolutely delighted, and can't wait to see who we talk to 2 weeks from now.
Exactly. God bless you all. Thanks for being a part. You're the best community ever. We absolutely love visiting with each one of you. God bless you all. Have a great night.